court.
that was played on in 1928 and 29. The 3-court game had been changed to the 2-court game. The uniforms, however, had yet remained quite conservative. Seated left to right, there's seven gals: Mabel Yoder, Alta Rhodes, Velma Brenneman, Merle Smalley, Merle Hartsock, and Ethel Miller. Anna Zarni. We're on that 28, 29.
This shows the outfit I wore, which was, you know, like a...
Well, that's the only uniform we had.
Were those furnished? Did you have to buy your own uniform? Were they passed on to the next class?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I was number 4, I remember.
I don't remember what, well, I had a homemade uniform my first year, but evidently I ended up with one because I got a picture.
They were like satin, like bloomer pants almost.
And then we had a warm-up jacket that was satin, red and white. That's where we're...
Yeah, we're in red and white, the school color.
Did your parents go to your, or you know, parents, relatives, did they go to your
Oh, sure.
games?
Oh, sure they did.
Okay.
The whole community showed up.
And do you remember the ox roast?
Oh,
Can you tell us a little bit how that was a lot of work? Everybody donated food, everybody donated time. How
It
much?
was a lot of work. We kids really didn't have that much to do about it. It was the adults in the whole community, whether you had students in high school or not, the whole community. This was a community center.
And some families that didn't have any kids were contributing. There's, in here are the copies of the secretaries, no, not the secretaries, each term, they had, well, it turned into be several notebooks of every committee.
Well, they all were asked to contribute. Just, it was amazing.
The list of the people who contributed food, and there's, oh, here it is. I'll just read off the committees. Where is it? And a list of the quantities used: 9 bushels of potatoes, 35 gallons of peas, cottage cheese, 25 gallons.
They made the cottage cheese.
Yeah.
It was homemade, and it took 150 gallons of milk to make, was it 25?
Well, this particular year, which is what?
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, one of these, yeah. 9 bushels of apples. And then there's a list of who contributed. Some people contributed a quart of pickles, or...
I think they were asked to bring, like...
Even the teachers were contributing.
Well, they were asked to bring coffee, I think.
Well, that could be...
Were they served at the high school? Was this big meal, the ox roast,
Oh, yes.
served at the high
In the
school?
gym.
In the gym.
The ox youth was not, it was a good Angus beef usually. It was not an ox, it was an Angus beef. And I think Harry Grout contributed the first one. When they needed money to help pay for this building. And in 31, I think, was the first, they called it an ox roast. And it was amazing. It was a moneymaker. And they could serve 144 people at a time. They had 12 tables, 12 people at a table. And the first one, I think they served 800 and some people. The largest one, they had 10 years they did serve this meal. It was served family style, and you could eat as much as you wanted, and they charged 50 cents a plate for adults, 25 cents for children, and it was a moneymaker to help pay for it.
And that list includes the ice cream. Here's several pages of people who contributed.
32 gallons of homemade ice cream one time, and then
Yeah.
they bought some ice cream.
And people contributed ice cream too. Here's one contribution: ice cream, 1 gallon, milk, 2 pounds of butter. Doesn't say, oh, 1 gallon of milk.
And they served us in this kitchen. They brought in stoves, and but they had to haul water in, you see, and they had to wash dishes. And at one time, Stroob's department store, and I would say those of you that remember Stroob's, I do, furnished an electric dishwasher for that occasion.
Where did the dishes come from?
They owned them. The
The school?
school had owned silverware and dishes to serve this.
The following committees were chosen: a dinner committee, advertising, wood, dining police, digging the pit,
Procuring the beef.
securing the ox, a water committee, 3 people and men on that, parking committee, lights, Paul Stutzman, Enos Kaufman, the carnival, that was students, Mr. Shantz and Mr. Pickett and Miss Bielefeld. Menu plan for the dinner was as follows: mashed potatoes, meat, gravy, cream peas, cottage cheese, apple salad, pickles, catsup, rolls, jelly, cake, ice cream, and coffee. For 50 cents.
At one time, there was a mistake in the advertising. They advertised that children would be 28 cents, but they quickly changed that so that it was 25 cents for children.
And there are notes like this for every year.
Yes, you put a lot together in that.
I remember one time my mother was a committee of 3 women were heading the food committee. Remember, my mother was one of the 3 one time, and your mother was one time, and they worked for planning this for months and months and months.
Yeah, they started planning this
And it
6,
was
8 months before. And it ultimately it was settled on was it the first Saturday of the month or the
It's
second?
on a Thursday,
Third-
Thursday night.
Yeah,
usually. And
they finally settled on a specific night to avoid other conflicts. Other schools started having dinners then after we did this. This is part of what we set the example. And they would come from all over.
And this supplied all the money for the teachers for the year and
Well, it couldn't have been all of it. Not at 50 cents a plate, even for 1,500. Because there were some of the food had to be bought.
tuition money for the students came from their local district from where they came.
School district.
School district. That's where the tuition came from, for that.
But there were other contributions also.
to keep it going.
Yeah.
Well, you gals were kind of neighbors anyway, but do you feel like the people you went to school with, were they your longest time friends?
Some of
You
them.
know, you were
Some,
together.
Sure.
There wasn't a lot of people in your class.
I left the community in, well, just a couple of years after I went to Iowa City for several years and ultimately wound up in Ames. So I was not in the community, but I had maintained friendships from little girl on. We were in church and Sunday school together, as well as high school. In grade school, I had only one other girl in school for a couple of years, 9 boys.
There were classes that had, 15, 17, 18 students in the class.
Yeah.
However, when I was graduated, in my class, there were 5 in my class, that's all there were. And there were only a couple years ago, I mentioned to one of my daughters, or a couple of my daughters, that I was the valedictorian of my class, and they said, "Mom, you never told us this." And I said, "Well, I wasn't terribly proud of it because there were only 5 in my class." I never told her.
Well, I had 11 in my class. There were 4 girls and 7 boys. And I was the valedictorian, but it was the most embarrassing night of my life. And I will never forget it. I was so totally exhausted from all the end of the year stuff, getting the annual out and the plays and everything. I was so totally exhausted that my mind was just absolutely numb. And Marge's brother was, I think he was salutatorian. I'm not sure, I think so. He was behind the curtain, and I got through the introduction of ladies and gentlemen, parents, staff. And I went blank.
You were the valedictorian.
I was a valedictorian. My speech all the way led me through it. Most embarrassing. And I still am embarrassed by it. I shouldn't have told that one.
What's the best part of being at Sharon Center High School? What do you remember the most? What was the best part? Was it the education, the friendships, the community?
I'd say a little bit of both, all three.
Well, because we were a small school, I participated in a lot of things. I participated in clam contests. I used to have a good voice, but not anymore. My voice is kind of gone. But I was in several operettas and plays that I wouldn't have been in a large high school, not at all. And I played basketball and softball too. And
We did the whole thing. And we would never, a lot of us, would never have had that opportunity. And there's memories there. I can't remember all the operettas that we had. There's a smaller blue 3-ring binder back there that I collected a few snapshots and some other things. I have sketched the floor plan for all 3 floors. Don't try to design anything from it because it's all out of my head. There's no dimensions, but it's as I remember the proportions of the auditorium. There were 3 classrooms in the principal's office, the auditorium with a stage, and in the northeast corner behind this stage was our library. 1 shelf, 1 wall of shelves, floor to ceiling, and that was our total library. And next to the principal's office, or with the auditorium, was the principal's office, and on the cross from it was a small classroom, and then there was what was supposed to have been a bathroom that never got to be a bathroom, but it was a closet on the west side, and across from it was the girls' dressing room, which was maybe, what, 5 feet wide? But not more than 6 feet wide. And we didn't have showers, so you'd play a game, and sometimes you'd have a towel there. If you were playing hard, use your towel. And that was it.
Girls must have been a lot of fun to take on dates, you know.
But we all smelled alike. We didn't shower every day. But then the bigger classrooms, as I remember, on the west side was science and math. And on the east side was a typing and sewing and I suppose history, I don't know. Those were the larger classrooms. And then there was a hall and that had cubby holes, no doors on them, that were our lockers. Anyway, that's those 3 floors. And then under that, between the gym, was a balcony. And the manual training, or the manual training room was at the north end of that. And at the end of, that's all of, and there was a stairs down on the northwest corner that went up and down from the auditorium down to the balcony. And there's, what was that, maybe 6 feet, wait around. No chairs on the balcony. People would just stand at the railing to watch the games.
And that balcony was filled when we had games like with Oxford and so on. I remember it was standing room only,
Central.
you know, it was packed.
Lone Tree, yeah, there was, and then the basement was the kitchen at the north end, under the manual training room and under the stage. And at one end, there was a pitcher pump, and he refers to the well, and an adequate supply of water. But we didn't have it upstairs that we can remember. And that had the stove and a sink in the center. The cupboards were all of our dishes and stuff. But at the end of that, then was the furnace room in the northeast corner. And there were bleachers along the sides, down on the gym floor. And it was a regulation-sized basketball court, wasn't it? Yeah. with three bleachers on each side. Nothing at the ends. There was no room at the ends for anybody to sit, but you could stand above the baskets and watch.
Wasn't the balcony a track too? Wasn't that a track around,
Well,
run track around
You
the
could have
balcony?
used it that way. I don't remember.
I don't
we
think
did.
it was used, but it could have been.
It could have been, because it was about, I'm guessing 5 or 6 feet wide.
That was pretty good.
And there was an entrance to the balcony off of the ground floor, right in the corner. And then there's just stairs that went down under that. You had to go in to the top of the stairs to go down to the bottom, to the gym floor.
But you know, when it was built, it was the best gym, I think, in the area. I remember playing at Little Tree, and when we played there, we played in an upstairs room above something else below. I don't know what, it was an upstairs, and it wasn't near like this gym.
And Central didn't have a gym. They played outside, but in the wintertime, did they use our court, or did they not?
Well, I read someplace in these notes that Sharon was supposed to play at Center, but it rained, and so because of the mud, they played it here instead.
Yeah.
But we were
Marge,
at the
do you
end.
remember if your gym had heat? Did it have a potbelly stove?
Oh, no, we had a furnace,
You had a
It
furnace?
was hot water heat.
Okay.
yeah.
My dad remembers some schools had an old potbelly stove at the corner of the gym that when you were playing a game, you always had to worry about when you got pushed out of bounds.
We were state of the art,
See,
remember?
no?
In 1930.
There were some gyms that the pot-bellied stove was in the center of the court.
I don't remember ever being in any like that. Tiffin had a gym, but,
I don't think it was a regulation gym.
No.
It seemed to me it was
and
smaller.
the officials, the scorekeepers were up, they had a little crow's nest in the corner. They had to climb a ladder. Huh?
I didn't remember that.
Well, I don't think that's in the notes anyplace, but I remember that.
I have notes here someplace where we played basketball.
Did you have an announcer at the games?
Did we have one?
Was there an announcer at the game?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
So
There
somebody
was-
just
there
kept
was a scoreboard,
score?
but there was a cards that you flipped.
Sure.
I made a note here someplace of where all I had played basketball. I had played at Tiffin, Oxford, Little Tree, Crawfordsville, Olds, Marengo.
Cosgrove,
No, they didn't have women when I was playing.
according to the book they did.
But
According to the Cheryl book they did.
the men played at Cosgrove, but when I was in school, they didn't have a women's team.
After the high school closed, that gym was used for quite a while. And Sweet Lassie Feed sponsored a team that had, it was Don Sayre, Cecil Allmeyer, Russell Lackender, Harold Sauce, Wayne Roberts, Hog Roberts, and who else, I don't remember, but as a little kid following that group around, I hardly ever remember them losing a game. And they got in a tournament one time in junior colleges and won that tournament down at Washington. There was a junior college in Washington, Iowa, and that was a big deal. They won that tournament. But that is too, you know, and then Sharon, United Methodist Church, we had a youth basketball team that played other churches in that gym. And the bad part was water came in from the north end where that ramp went down and got under the floor, and then the floor started rotting. That was the demise of the basketball.
Now, you're referring to the basketball court over here.
Yes. It's too bad it ever
Well,
couldn't have been reduced.
in Ludwig's newspaper comments, at the time of the sale, he refers to the barbarians who had trashed all of this. Huh?
They tried to,
They had trashed the building. The windows, the punch holes, the walls were some kind of a fiberboard, weren't they? And the oils were not varnished, they were oiled. I remember that, and they would be freshly oiled at the beginning of the school year.
I'm really wondering how we got to these basketball games. I remember how I got there, I don't know how. Lauren All quite often would drive and take a bunch of us girls, because Lauren was always a scorekeeper or something. But I remember though, Earl and Pearl Kinstinger had the Sharon store, and they had a van that they hauled produce out from Iowa City for their store. So Pearl would drive this van and take the basketball team, benches in the back of this van with no windows or anything. And we'd sit on these benches and she'd drive us to, by the time we got there, I didn't know if I felt like playing basketball or not. But it was kind of bumpy but we got there.
Yeah, there was various modes, but my dad, we were daring, and I think I read in my family book that in about 1937, he bought a used van. The same time, I think, as a van as you're talking about, except we were hauling 10 gallons of milk cans. And I remember him driving a load, we put some planks along the sides and going, I don't know where we went. There were no restrictions, no seat belts. A lot of things that weren't. And yet we survived. And we've survived a long time. But also, several people went on, I can think of 3 people who went on to earn their PhDs and join faculties, university faculties. Cloyce Roberts from the class of 33. Cloyce Campbell. I don't know what Don Roberts did. Did he go on? I don't know about him. But
He worked at Rapids.
Gene Marner was a math teacher, and I'm not sure where.
I don't think he was a teacher. He was a,
I thought he was on the faculty.
well,
And I don't know.
he worked for a company.
Yeah.
Bob Roberts was a professor in Columbia, Missouri for years.
Who?
Aubrey.
That's right. That's the other one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Aubrey Roberts.
Yeah. And Aubrey put together the book with all the sports stuff in it that's back there.
Well, it's been a little over an hour. Let's take a break for right now, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes. But get up and stretch, because I know those chairs aren't comfortable. Thank you.